Welcome to Lunch and Learn. I'll be your host for today, Lance Parker. I'm the Senior Advising Coordinator at the UT Health Science Center at Tyler. I have two guests with us today to talk about goal setting, professional success, and career growth, Dr. Christina Tula and Dr. Quentin Willis. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, thank you.
Good, good. Thank you.
All right, so let's dive into it. What is goal setting?
I think generally, I think generally goal setting is the important process of identifying where you're trying to get to. Whether we're talking about graduate school programs or career aspirations, regardless of where you are on the professional development spectrum, whether you're at the beginning of your graduate coursework or moving through coursework or even in a career or midway through your career, setting some measurable and specific goals is, in my mind, the substance of what goal setting is.
Yeah, I would just add on that goal setting is it's the steps to your dream. So we always think of, I want to be X or I want to do this, and goal setting is how you make those attainable.
Great, great. And you said measure your dream. What do you mean? What do you mean by measure a dream? I mean, I think that's a very interesting statement. So, can you kind of give us some details? What do you mean by that, Dr. Tula?
Yeah, I mean, we all have these big dreams that we want to accomplish. We want to be rock stars or president or head of whatever. And we have to think, it's not that you cannot become president. It's that certain things have to happen in order for you to be ready for it, and for it to happen for you. And I think the one failure that I see happen a lot is when your preparation does not meet your opportunity.
I mean, I think it's important though to talk about, the role of failure. When we're talking about goal setting in the context of graduate and professional degree programs, as well as career aspirations, I think you bring up an interesting part of the process, Dr. Toole, with when you're speaking of failure, because sometimes failure should be more recognized as growth opportunities, because anything worth having is worth working for. And sometimes with growth requires a little bit of pain. And so that means having to redo things or go back and reassess or reevaluate our approach to a certain circumstance or situation or project. And so I think that's an important part of the entire process. And when we set goals, we have to realize that those goals can be adjusted based on a number of different factors or variables that may come into play during our process of trying to reach that specific goal.
Yeah, I would just add that we often get the opportunity that would make our dreams come true, but we're not prepared for it. And I think those are the best learning opportunities we're ever given. But our preparation has to meet the opportunity. And when we set goals, we set a path for that to actually happen for us.
That's amazing. Dr. Willis, I think you have a famous saying about preparation. Can you kind of give us that saying?
A famous saying about preparation. So I have a lot of hip pocket responses or things that I like to say, and I'm not recalling at the moment exactly what the famous saying about preparation is. So
if I had to guess, I would guess that it is success is when your preparation meets your opportunity or something like that. Is that what you're thinking of, Mr. Parker?
I'm definitely thinking of that statement. He says it a lot. And when you kind of talked about preparation opportunity, that statement kind of came to my mind because Dr. Willis uses that statement often.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a famous statement. So you kind of throw me for a loop there, but I think in the context of that statement and about preparation meeting opportunity, the essence of this conversation and in the life of a graduate student or an early career professional, I mean, that's the exact essence of what we're speaking about. And so recognizing that as you move through a degree program, you're picking up new knowledge and skills each semester, and being able to realize that knowledge and skill into a specific mark on your CV or resume, a marketable skill that you can explain to an employer as something that sets you apart in the workplace, I think is very important. Too often we can go through educational programs or different trainings and not ever really be able to demonstrate actual growth. And so it's important to keep in mind that you want to be able to articulate clearly what you've learned, how that affects your mindset and your approach to the work that you do. Because, for example, you can go through a course in a semester, and in that course, it might have specific student learning outcomes that require you to achieve a certain level of competence in some specific areas. But if after that course, you're not able to communicate that to an employer or a potential employer, then you really miss the opportunity. And so we have to be able to do that. And the next part of it is learning is a process. And some people are very, very put off by the growth and learning process. They don't take correction very well. They don't like the fact that scholarly writing is an iterative process. They don't like to review their work. We have to try to, and I mean, and this speaks, it hits home for all of us, but we have to try to remember that it's not perfection that we're going for, but it's ongoing improvement. It's continuous work to bring the best version of myself to the workplace.
I would add that, learning is the journey, not the destination. And in grad school, it can really feel like I just need to get this done and I'll be able to have this. And that's a mindset that I'm not really sure where it comes from, but a lot of us fall victim to it. If I just do X, then I will be happy. If I graduate with this degree, then I will get this job. And I think goal setting is a way for us to break down that mentality and realize that success is not linear. It's not a do A plus B and you will get C. It's more of, here are things I can do to prepare for this. Here are opportunities. I know if I want to be an epidemiologist or a public health specialist, or if I want to go to medical school, there are very different things that I need to do to prepare for that path. And for me, goal setting has always been a way to keep myself on track and to check in and say, is this the path that's still right for me? Because the path that I'm on now is not where I thought I would be. It's not, the goals that I set for myself in undergrad are not, most of them did not come to fruition, and I'm thankful for that. But I had that flexibility with goal setting, and that really helped me. So when they failed, it was a learning opportunity, not a true, the world is over failure.
Yeah, and I think if I were to summarize, the conversation to this point into 3 important key takeaways, or what some of our participants should be able to get out of this conversation that we're having. Number 1, goal setting for professional success and career growth is possible through 1, setting clear goals and creating a plan to achieve them. And then secondly, developing a timeline that includes milestones. And finally, making use of the resources that you have before you. This type of series, like the Lunch and Learn series itself, this is a resource that we're putting before individuals to be able to provide them with some insight about moving down the path towards what they hope to achieve. So I think, Mr. Parker, that really when we summarize the conversation of what we're talking about here, we're talking about making dreams a reality. Put this on paper. Write down what it is that you hope to achieve. Second, put a measurable time with it. By the end of the semester, it's my goal to have completed 2 of the required courses in my program and 1 elective. And in the next summer, I plan to do 1 course, and in the next fall, 3 courses. So you're really laying out a pathway to get to achieve a long-term goal, but you kind of deconstructed the larger objective.
One thinking about the resources that we have available for students, especially here at the Health Science Center, one piece of advice that I often give my students is to use LinkedIn. If you don't have a profile, create one. If not, you can still look at it and find people with the job title you want. And that's a really good way to kind of see the accomplishments that they've had, what they focused on, and give you a good idea of some goals to set for yourself for your professional development. So if you see people who are epidemiologists, and a lot of them have certificates that you've never heard of or that aren't available in your program, well, there are resources and let us know, because there are resources in academic affairs to make some of those happen. LinkedIn Learning is a great place to build your resume and have a professional development learning goal. And that's just a really good resource that I think is really underutilized and can help develop your goals and make a clear picture of how to get where you want to go.
Amazing, amazing. So my next question is, what about the students who have a goal, but they don't necessarily know how to reach it? For, like you said earlier, Dr. Tula, those who want to be epidemiologists, what if they want to pursue that, but they don't know how to necessarily get to that point? What are some tips or some tips or some resources they could use to reach that goal?
Advising.
Right. Yeah, so I think, yes, Dr. Tula, advising, but beyond advising, I think really mentoring. And so the whole process of identifying a mentor and getting into a mentoring type of relationship is a bi-directional process. And by that, I mean, an individual has to approach another individual, but you have to be receptive to everything that would entail. And so in order to have somebody mentor you, you want them to kind of to give you opportunities to shadow them professionally, to maybe take you along and allow you to gain some insight and some experience, to have some candid conversations with you about professional growth. But many times we go into mentoring type of relationships and we don't really have the growth mindset yet. We're not ready for any part of the conversation that makes us uncomfortable. And if you're uncomfortable with professional conversations about potential blind spots that you have or areas that you need to improve in, then you have to really get yourself ready mentally to be able to sit down and have a conversation about self-improvement, because that's really what the entire professional development process is about. And it's not an indication that you're inadequate or that you'll never be able to reach a certain level of professional advancement. It just means that it is a process, and you have to trust that process, and you have to demonstrate to others that you trust that they have your best interest in mind. Because when somebody's giving you tough love or a harder conversation about some things that you need to improve on, your reaction is going to tell them a lot about your level of readiness for that type of critique and conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Willis, for that answer. My next question would be this. You said mentoring is a crucial component to goal setting for those who, have a goal but don't necessarily know how to get there. What relationship should they have as far as with the mentor? Should it be someone they know? Should it be faculty? What should it be for our students? Could it be someone outside the Health Science Center, just for some guidance for some of the students?
Yeah, so I think I was waiting a second. I was thinking maybe Dr. Toole would want to fill that question, but you can have a combination of mentors. They can be within the institution, they can be outside of the institution. I mean, different relationships manifest themselves in different ways, organically. Sometimes you might meet somebody just kind of by happenstance who you share a common professional interest with, who you may want to stay in touch with. In this time of so much virtual activity, you should, like Dr. Toole said earlier, you should really utilize the tools like LinkedIn. I mean, social media serves a great purpose for staying in touch with people, and for being able to connect. So I think that is one important approach.
I think faculty members are probably an easy place to start in looking for a mentor. And I I think it's really important to know that not everybody is going to work well together. So just because you like a professor or think they're great doesn't mean they necessarily will make a good mentor for you. When I think back on my earlier part of my graduate experience, my first mentors, they did a lot to help me become comfortable professionally, but they didn't they did not push me to develop my professional identity. They helped me academically, but it wasn't necessarily the hard conversations. And it wasn't really until I met Dr. Willis, who is my mentor, that I had somebody who was really pushing me to become the professional that I am capable of being. And it's really good to be able to find that person who can believe and see the bigger picture even when you can't. And honestly, if my first mentor would have pushed me the way Dr. Willis did, I don't know that I would have responded well. And maybe that's why he didn't do it. And I really, as I continued my academic journey, came into a growth mindset and wanted to become a professional, and I was lost. I didn't know how to look. I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know who to talk to, how to build relationships. And I'm really thankful for the mentoring that I had that helped me develop those skills, because it's really helped me professionally and has made a huge difference in the opportunities I have available to me. And so that was a goal that I had set when I was finishing my doctoral program, was to work really hard on those personal professional areas of relationship building and communication, because there were gaps that had been identified.
Great. Any final comments or suggestions?
I think if I were to offer a last round of comments or suggestions, I would tell our participants that you can't be what you don't see. And so when we're talking about professional success and career growth, put yourself around like-minded individuals or folks that you hope to emulate or become like them. Like Dr. Toole, I have several mentors within the workplace who I take advantage of any moment to just have a little downtime and a little conversation with them to understand better how they were able to achieve the things that they've been able to achieve in their professional career, and to just seek advice from them on areas that I could potentially grow in and do better. So I would encourage all of our participants to always keep a growth mindset. Always remember that you're never in a place where you can't learn something new, and put yourself around individuals that can really help you grow and give you an honest assessment of where you are and what role you could potentially play in the future.
My final closing thoughts: if you are struggling with what goal to set, how to set goals for your professional success in your career, I think the first goal to set is finding your purpose. If you know what your purpose is, then your goal setting is so much easier, and it's easier to be flexible and to understand the different paths that your life can take. So if you don't know yet what your purpose is and what purpose you want to serve, then that, I think, should be your first goal.
Well, thank you, Dr. Tula, and thank you, Dr. Willis, for participating today. And thank you all for participating in the first Lunch and Learn. We thank you guys for viewing this series, and we hope you come back in the future.